Natasha, great to have you back here on Outsiders. We were talking earlier to Colonel Richard Kemp kind of about the military aspects of the pages exploding and the walkie-talkies exploding and the current activity. There's the war that's happening to Israel's north. Wanted to ask you about the kind of legal ramifications of this. As Rita was saying earlier, there's a lot of the criticism from the usual suspects on the left is, oh, this was indiscriminate targeting, etc., yada, yada. But you've written very brilliantly about the legal aspects of the pager attacks. Explain your thinking to us.
Well, thank you. I was prompted to respond to some of this misinformed analysis that claimed that whoever was behind these pager explosions, subsequently walkie-talkies, smartwatches, intercoms, many things have been exploding in close proximity, if not on the persons, of Hezbollah operatives, not just in Lebanon. And the analysis so far has been desperately lacking in real international law. These are the most targeted strikes one could possibly imagine, given that they are, where we're talking about the pages themselves, Hezbollah issued 2 terror operatives that have been targeting the terrorists and those that are in the chain of command specifically, that have been taking their instructions from Hezbollah directly. It's probably worth noting that so far as we understand it, these pages were issued because Hezbollah was concerned that smartphones might give away too much information to the Israelis. And in the context of distinction, necessity, proportionality, these principles of the laws of armed conflict being adhered to in an exemplary fashion, really all the criticism that we've seen in the context of international law has been extremely troubling, because it is fueling a lot of this misrepresentation about international law and about international humanitarian law, the law of armed conflict more specifically.
I've also heard criticism from those quarters, from commentators saying, well, what if one of these pages was on a train or on an aeroplane and there was a mass casualty event? So what's your response to that criticism?
Well, firstly, it's extraordinary that this senator and others would come out so immediately, it seems, in support of an internationally prescribed terrorist organisation. Let's not forget that Hezbollah operatives have been targeting not just Israelis and Jews, but other Western assets for several decades. But quite apart from that, I haven't heard any condemnation from these quarters of the real indiscriminate attacks, those contrary to international humanitarian law, for the last year by Hezbollah operatives in the south of Lebanon across Israeli communities, civilian communities, indiscriminately killing 49 so far over the last 12 months. And the death toll there on Israel's side is testament to the extraordinary defensive measures that Israel has taken, whereby most of these rockets have been shot out of the skies by Israel's defensive mechanisms. Over 8,500 have been fired, so that the communities of the north of Israel have, of course, been evacuated. Between 60 to 80,000 civilians have been evacuated from their homes for nearly a year. I haven't heard any condemnation of the real breaches of international law. Instead, we have, the invention of international law to seek to criticise what has been done now in response, specifically targeting these terrorist operatives, and the creation of these hypotheticals. What if a terrorist had been on a plane? Well, the fact of the matter is that the devices, when they were exploded, have targeted Hezbollah operatives in a completely unparalleled way. There have been a number of legal military professionals who have remarked on the fact that this operation has made history, military history and legal history, because to hear about 12 operatives at least who have been neutralised, and some over 3,000 who have suffered substantial injury that may indeed take them out of their terrorist operations. That is a remarkable achievement against any civilian casualty, of course, is greatly regrettable. But whereas these attacks have discriminated so that civilians have not been the targets of them, Hezbollah's objectives have been directly to seek as many civilian casualties as possible. And they have been clear about their objectives of annihilating Israel off of the map. So in that context, these criticisms and the absence of any comment against ongoing Hezbollah terrorism against innocent civilians is inexplicable. But for the only explanation is that these individuals are continuing to support internationally prescribed terrorist organizations as against the only democracy in the Middle East.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is DaJobnik signing off.